other stories that are dominating the news cycle this morning, Rufai.
I think those that say, let both parties sit and make peace, I think that's a jaded argument, and I knock that argument out real quickly. Is it today Wike and Fubara have been sitting down to talk peace? Do you know how many peace that have been drawn up? Nothing. It's not going to work. All this idea of, let the elders, what are the elders going to do? No, people, they're not going to listen to what is happening. So what is happening reminds me of a gambit in a game of chess. Originally from the Italian word gambito, where it talks about you setting up a plan for somebody to trip. And Fubara was the first to play that gambit by joining the APC to be able to nullify the powers of Wike. The reason why Fubara probably made that decision was because even after the so-called peace deal, and that's why I'm against the state of emergency by President Tinubu, but anyway, he did it to give himself options. He wanted political options, that's why he did it. So after the state of emergency that you thought both of them were at peace, they were seeing kumbaya, but the fight still went on. So Fubara felt, let me join the APC to be able to protect myself. This conversation we're having today is easier because if he was in the APC, if he was in the PDP, then you will not hear the APC saying, oh, this is not good. It's not going to be like an internal civil war. So Fubara won the first leg of the gambit. And that's why I was talking about 200 for President Tinubu, 0 for Wike. But now, Wike has also played a gambit. By saying despite joining the APC, it does not insulate you from that impeachment. I can still go ahead and impeach you. And this is an indication that, hey, if you do not cooperate, I will go for your jugular. So today now they are at parity. But the interesting part of this game is there will be scenarios that will settle it out. And that's why the person we have not heard from will be the one to take the decisive blow. And that's President Tinubu. So I'll give you three scenarios President Tinubu can do. The first one is a light attack. The light attack means merry-go-round, see both of them, talk to them in Abuja. It's not going to solve anything. There's still going to be that supremacy battle. Fubara will say he's governor. Wike will say I'm political godfather. It's not going to solve anything. We've done that. We've always done the light attack. The medium attack is to go one step further. Get the political party, get the architecture of the APC to be able to whip Wike in line. But Wike is not a member of their political party. So they are still going to go around, and the light and medium attack is pretty much the same. But the heavy attack will be President Tinubu removing Wike from that position he is. How is he going to probably do it? He might want to do it in a way so that people will not think that it's from him. So probably he might call a cabinet reshuffle. And some people do not come back. And when you look at that, to a large extent, that might be a final solution to this problem. Because as long as you have these two men in a position of power, there will be contentions. And that's why there have been contentions. But if the balance of scale of power changes, one has power and the other one doesn't have power, it's easier to resolve. Because when you look at it, Wike is not somebody that fights and backs down until he gets what he wants. The same Wike that prevented Atiku Abubakar from campaigning, the candidate of his own political party in his state for presidency. The same Wike that went against them because things didn't work in his favor. As long as he still has a position of power, and Fubara has a position of power as governor in the state, there's going to be contention. The question will be, will President Tinubu be ready to take the heavy attack method? Time will tell. Will he want to build his political time before he takes that measure? Time will tell. Because you see, the premise at which Wike fights today, apart from owning the political structure, is because he also has an element of state backing, which is because he's a minister. If he loses that, the matter becomes easy. Secondly, let me also spin that scenario. Or probably if President Tinubu wants to go with Wike, then he might say, okay, let's open the cannons and allow Fubara to be removed. But if that happens, it's also bad for President Tinubu because it's a big indictment on the APC. And it will show other governors that those that are running to the APC for refuge, you might not be able to get it, he might not speak for you. So most likely, we have gotten to the point, those conversations, meeting with them will not work. It is the time for the heavy attack. Will President Tinubu be courageous enough to have a cabinet reshuffle and say someone like Wike goes to settle this river conundrum, or still tries to work with Wike against Fubara, or pit it out with time? Time will tell.
Okay, let me put it like this. Every president has a Mr. Fix-It. and, or a set of Mr. Fix-Its. Now, Mr. Fix-It, in the popular Nigerian political parlance, can also outlive his usefulness. And then, of course, the Mr. Fix-It will eventually discover that he cannot either fix things or resolve things. Nyesom Wike, obviously, is the Mr. Fix-It of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Rivers State, and you may say other states. After all, he told Ajibola Bashiru the other day that does he even know how he ended up becoming a senator. So, Nyesom Wike, obviously, is the Donald Trump of Rivers politics. And just as Mr. Donald Trump was saying yesterday to the New York Times, it's not about law. He says he doesn't believe in international law. It is his own morality that determines what he wants to do. And you seem to have, at a miniature level, that kind of situation in Rivers State. But the caution here is that every Mr. Fix-It has his own sunset occasion. But as to the House of Reps, I think it is useful that Andy Omano had said that, Minister Wike Assembly, and he didn't need to be there physically anyway. The other point to make, however, is that this is the third impeachment proceedings against Governor Fubara. The only difference now is that he has already deported himself to the APC, and you have the APC National saying this is our governor, nobody can remove him. However, what everyone should realize is Section 188 of the 1999 Constitution, which is a part of the law that deals with the impeachment processes against governors and deputy governors. Section 188, sub 11, says that what constitutes gross misconduct is what the House of Assembly, in its own opinion, determines to be gross misconduct. So if they want to impeach him, they can just say, well, he looked at another man's wife in a way he should not look at cuckold his neighbor's wife. After all, the 10 Commandments says in one of the paragraphs that I shall not covet thy neighbor's property. It can be removed simply on that basis. That's the status of the law. But the long-term implication will be about the stability of Rivers State and the electoral process in Rivers State. Opposition parties in Rivers State will seem to have a good opportunity to strengthen their own processes and see how they can take advantage of this situation, if they have the capacity to do so. Now, the topics were so many. Now, you talked about ADC. Now, the ADC will say it's going to review its constitution to allow for inclusion. There are persons who are coming to join the party. I'm not very familiar with the ADC constitution, but there may be clauses there that may not allow people who are joining at this moment. So they will need to review that 22-member constitution. We need to review the constitution to remove hurdles, since the party is trying to bring in as many people as possible. That's what I imagine may be the case. But a political party can accommodate all shades of interest. And ADC, of course, is an evolving party in terms of, its recent...
The possibility of a successful impeachment happening here in Nigeria based off of past president is just about 1%. So the likelihood of Sim Fubara being successfully impeached, highly unlikely. This instability it causes and the disruption it causes, however, is really the bone of contention. Now, when we look at all of the subsisting issues around here, what is the fundamental issue? The fundamental issue is that there are individuals who say that they own the structure of a state. And because they own the structure of this state, they feel that it is their prerogative to determine what happens in the affairs of that state. What does this show us? This shows us that in, as Dr. Abati said, evolving democracy such as ours, power is not transferred. In an established and vibrant democracy, when a new leader comes into office who has been given a mandate through election, that person is supposed to experience a transfer of power. In this instance, however, we see that the ownership of structures is not transferred to anybody. Whoever acquired those structures, appropriated them, or built them is the individual who remains with the ownership of them. How are these structures built? Through identity politics. Oh, that's my man from my place. We are from the same place. The other way, through binding transactions. What point am I getting to here? I'm getting to the point that all of this is because there are individuals who say they own the structures of the party, and that is where the source of their power lies. How do they own them? We don't know. There are several allegations and several speculations about how the ownership of these structures is acquired, whether it be through purchasing nomination forms for people at elections, whether it be through financing people's campaigns, whether it be through various other projects and exploits that benefit these individuals financially or otherwise. This is how this loyalty is bought. It's a deep and complex patronage system. Now, what needs to be done? Because my argument is that what we see in River State can easily be replicated in any other state. For as long as our nomination forms are at sky-high prices and people need sponsors to come together, or people need benefactors who will come and see them through and become their political godfathers, this is not unique to Nigeria. All around the world, people have sponsors and benefactors and donors who come to their aid financially when it's time for elections. However, the one thing that is missing is the public disclosure. Let there be transparency. Let's know that if there's a State House of Assembly, for example, this is the person who bought their nomination form. Let it be a matter of public record so that the public can also be aware of some political indebtedness that may exist when they're going to elections to vote for their candidates. In all of this, it's unfortunate that the people of River State will experience yet another disruption. Will another presidential